Hey guys, and welcome to Smells Like Teen Angst, and we are going to talk about episode 10, the finale of HBO Max's Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. Let's do it. And as always, to join me through this entire ordeal of Pretty Little Liars, I have
Jordan.
Keiki.
All right, so let's talk about this finale. This was a little bit hard for me to track. I'm just going to let you guys know that up front because this whole episode, the girls are basically together. So it's I tried to separate, but it was.
Do you want me to try and run it? Because I kind of have it separated in a way that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see if this works. Okay, so we start with a flashback. It's 1999. We're at the Waters home. It's giving me Carrie's vibe because
100%.
Angela's trying to go out to a party, and Rose Waters is victim blaming her own daughter and being like, "You brought your assault upon yourself because of the way you dress and the people you hang out with." So first of all, I'm happy you turned into a mummified corpse, Rose Waters. Because you're rude.
Rude. Agreed. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this is Carrie. 100%.
Yeah, right. Which, I love all the callbacks to classic horror that they've done in the series. That's great. But major Carrie vibes. Rose starts crying, leaves to go to the party anyway. Now we smash cut. We are in present day. I'm going to start with Faran. So Farron's dad is back home. He's saying that it felt like a warning. It's really weird. The girls meet up, and Faran and Tabby tell the girls about the sheriff. And
being the rapist.
Yeah. Anyway, they tell everybody that the sheriff is the boyfriend. That's why I meant to write boyfriend and I wrote body. Whoops. So
true.
Yeah. So at this point, the girls are all like, "Oh, well, I guess A is still out there, and maybe it's the sheriff." And the girls are all know, like, their moms have to know that it was Beasley. So why didn't they say anything? And they're like, "Well, this time we're going to confront them, but we'll do it separately." So each one of the girls grills their mom about Tom Beasley, and I love, right? Wasn't it a cute little?
I loved this montage. What a way to get through it.
Love an interrogation montage,
right? Loved it. And the moms basically shut it down, and they're still being super tight-lipped about all of it, and being like, "Girls, you need to drop it." Davy and Tom didn't even date that long. Blah 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 blah.
Not a big deal. And didn't even Sydney say, like, allegedly? Like, she didn't even confirm that the assault actually happened.
Yeah, she's like, allegedly.
Right? Like, oh, so you're talking about allegedly. Next thing you're gonna be like, "I do not recall," and then you're gonna start pleading the fifth, Sydney. We know you're lying.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kelly and Faran meet up in the middle of the night at the cemetery, which I thought was cute because it showed that they have a real friendship. And Kelly tells
and Kelly's finally doing what Kiki's been wanting, which is accepting female friendship.
Exactly. She's accepting female friendship. She's accepting help. But she tells Faran that things are really shady at home and that her and her mom have basically been put on house arrest by her crazy father. And she's not going back to school until after Christmas. And Faran tells Kelly all about A.
All about her. Killing Karen,
so then
Tyler, breaking all the rules there, Faran.
Breaking all the rules, right? Breaking all the rules, Faran, but we'll get back to that. So then next I'm going to talk about Tabby, because this is basically, the girls are split up for maybe the first 10 minutes of this episode. And then everybody's
all like together. Yeah, I put them as Tabitha and Imogen.
Yeah, right?
Always together.
Because this part is really Tabitha and Imogen. So Tabitha, she knows that there was a DNA match. She knows that it wasn't a jock. And she knows that 9 times out of 10, it's someone that you know. So she's got Chip on her mind. And she asks Wes where Chip was the night of the party in the woods.
Chip in her shoulder.
Ayo.
Yeah.
She asks Wes where Chip was. Wes confirms that Chip also left the theater very early on the night of Tabitha's party in the woods. So then Tabby finally tells Imogen she thinks it was Chip. Imogen doesn't believe her at first and is like, but like he's been so close to me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she stops and think about it. And she says, well, wait a minute. When I woke up after my assault, I was missing my panties. So maybe if it was Chip, he took them as a trophy.
Yeah.
So the girls go to Chip's house. They convince his mom to let them in the house. And they're just like, oh, we're just going to borrow Chip's Super. They get down there.
Like, yeah. And I love that the mom basically gives them permission to be in his room forever because she's like, it's really a mess down there. Good luck. So them like being there digging through stuff isn't suspicious at all.
No. And they just ransack his room. They ransack his whole ass room.
Find a little collection of nasty slasher films. And as any horror fan knows, if you watch some horror from the 70s, like these slasher films were pretty graphic and nasty. And there's a lot of rape culture in horror. So
and these were much very like snuffy films.
They're very snuffy films. We had them hidden. Okay. It's one thing if you watch them. It's another thing if you're watching them and keeping it a secret.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna play that clip right here. Just go play it. I just have to say that if it's Chip, I'm gonna be upset. Watch. Just remember I said this.
So then the girls don't find anything, and Imogen is like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go talk to him.
Yeah.
And these girls, I
beautifully
love
done.
them. So beautifully done because they go and they don't back down. They confront him. They question him. They present all of their evidence, and he confesses. And he calls them out, and he says, you lied to me. And Imogen looks him in his face and says, we have become good liars.
Like our pretty little liars.
Right? I see what they did there. And so they're confronting him. Chip breaks down. I don't even want to talk about him. I don't care about him.
He doesn't deserve anything other than he confessed.
Nothing.
His reasoning makes no sense. We don't need to discuss it.
But A's there.
A's there. A is there. And Chip turns around and sees A, and the girl sees A, and Chip runs. And this is the part that I love. The girls look at A and they say, he hurt us. He hurt us the way that Tom Beasley hurt Rose Waters. And A looks at them, and A just goes,
but yes.
And he runs after Chip.
When A came like walking out of the darkness, the way that I giggled, like I was expecting like a machete, like, like something
straight through the head or something. Yeah, I was expecting.
I thought A was going to cut him in half. I did think A was going to cut him in half.
And I was just like, it was so sad. That moment was so satisfying. I loved it.
He hurt us like he hurt Angela, and A is just like, got you, fam.
Got you, fam. And then I love like throughout this episode, this is like the first time it happens, but it happens the whole time. They all get back together to tell each other what happens.
Yes. And so this is where they're all together, and anybody can take over from summarizing at this point because it's all the same episode. They're all together. I just want to say that the part that I love is that the girls all get together and they tell Imogen and Tabitha tell the girls that they know it was Chip and that Chip confesses. And the first thing out of Scrappy little Noah's mouth is, my baseball bat has his name on it.
I was like, yes, Noah. Yes, Queen.
Oh, God.
So good. And then they get a text from A saying, your final round is about to begin. You broke our rule. And I'm like, how does A have ears everywhere? Does he just like, do they just like chill?
Is the school bugged? Is the school bugged? How does A know what we're doing?
Yeah.
Like I said, A always has ears everywhere. This is nothing new in the Pretty Little Liars universe, Yeah. It is more horror-esque, but A knows everything. And A has minions. And that's another thing that we really have not seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
And this is episode 10.
Yep.
This is the finale, and we have not seen minions.
Imogen. Go ahead.
They go back to the Waters house, which, first of all, where is Noah's bat this time? Where are their knives? They don't even have gloves on, and they're in this nasty ass house. But anyway.
And this was another great montage that while the girls are searching the Waters house for clues, each mom is getting kidnapped by A.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love. They're all getting chloroformed. They're all like, and then like running as like, you know, Imogen finds height markings that both have A's listed. So it's like, is it a baby? Is it a sibling?
Yeah, because they had like the same date or something like that.
But
Yeah.
different heights. They
Mhm.
find crayons in the back of a cage, like that original cage that Imogen saw the first time. And then Imogen finds a Polaroid under the fridge of like a Raggedy Ann and Andy Halloween photo. At least that's what it looked like to me. Was it Raggedy Ann
Yeah.
and Andy?
I thought they were clowns.
Maybe they
I
were
couldn't
clowns.
tell.
I
Yeah.
went with Raggedy Ann.
I got Halloween. All I got from it was 2 kids at Halloween. And so the girls are now convinced that there was 2 children and that there was another A. Waters.
Yes. And then
Mhm.
ding ding, text time for the trial. And then they get photos of all their kidnapped mothers in the back of a van.
And A is at school.
He is at the school.
And she's the whole place up. Girl really has a design aesthetic. She
I
went
Right?
for.
There's an aesthetic and I love it. How much time did that take to set up? You know,
Girl,
you gotta
right?
do lighting.
Much time. Who's got
It's like a while, okay? She had to shut down the school for that, you know.
And before they even go in, I love that Imogen texts Kelly as backup.
Thank you. That was my next note. Imogen texts Kelly for backup before the girls go in. And I'm like, see, they really brought it all together. Kelly has accepted the help. They welcomed her into the Losers Club. And now she's really a part of it because she knows what's up. And they're like, girl, be ready. Be on deck.
Yeah. And before we dive into the school, what happens in there, I think we can talk about Kelly's house first and kind of what happens in that moment.
Okay. So,
Ooh,
the
it's
whole
good,
thing in
though.
Kelly's house. So it's real good. So in Kelly's house, the sheriff is still trying to keep them on lockdown.
Mhm.
And she confronts her dad. And her dad is wilding out. When Kelly goes to leave to try and help the girls, she gets stopped.
Mhm.
And he's drunk, he's wilding out, and he's talking about how you're not going to leave the house, blah, blah, blah. He gets hella creepy, and he pulls a gun on her.
Yeah.
And he's like, this gun only has 3 bullets. How do you really think you're leaving this house? And as he's about to get crazy, and I'm like, is he really about to do this murder-suicide? Gah, 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 gah! Kelly's mom comes out of nowhere and stabs him.
Yeah. Well, because Kelly says that he's as guilty as anyone else for killing Karen. And the mom's like, is this all true? And then Mama goes,
Mama
I
just
thought Mama was leaving. I was like, no, Mama come back.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to realize Mama has been under distress. She has left it in the Lord's hands to stay with this man and all his demons and dealt with it.
Yeah.
And just have someone to blame
Mm-hmm.
to set her off.
She's like, look, if you had never raped Angela Waters, none of this would have ever happened.
You took one of my daughters. I'm not letting you take the other one.
You go to hell and you die.
You go to hell, you die. And then Kelly goes and runs to Greg and is like, I need your help. And I was like, why Greg? But okay.
She needed backup. Okay. 2 hands are better than 1.
I mean, that's fair. Okay. And now let's dive into this school because I love how they walk up to this shrine for each of them that has like an assigned hall pass.
A hall pass, so beautifully decorated. My head goes to, though, this school is immaculate. It is set up so great.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they had to have minions because there's candles, there's red lighting. Each girl has a special decorated hall pass. Each room that they're supposed to go into has more candles and red lighting. Like, this took a lot of
setup, okay? You needed all of ASB for this. You needed all of ASB for this, okay?
Like what I imagine.
Watching people write these letters and paint these signs and set up these lights and wondering who did all this.
What I imagine is that their mask and Crazy Joe are just sitting there at the table in the Waters house with their glitter pens and their paper. And they're just like, ooh, this is going to be so good. And they're like, did you get to the Home Depot for the candles? Well,
go to Michael's and get some more. They got the battery powered ones at Michael's. Go get more candles.
The whole plotting together is just so magical in my brain.
And they have another poster board that says all, or was that a text message? Was it a text or was it a poster message? It's a
All
text.
bullies
must be punished tonight, starting with yours.
Yes.
So Chip is in the film room for Tabby. The drug dealer is in the locker room for Noah. I don't know the exact locations. Don't get mad at
I've
me.
got you. I don't know the locations either. But I also, can we just say, after they read that, I love the way the girls just perfectly fanned out for the camera.
Yes, right? Like
nailed it.
Beautiful cinematography in this episode.
Nailed it, ladies. You all hit your mark, and I'm very proud of you. It was like, hold on. I wrote all this down because I was like, I'm going to do this. Tabitha, Chip is your bully. Carve an A into his chest, and she has a machete. Noah, it's the drug dealer. He bullied your mom. Time to give him a taste of his own medicine, and it's a bunch of syringes. And I'm like, what are we in? Freaking Freddy 3. Mouse, he played cat and mouse with you. Now it's your turn. Trap him before he does it again. And Steve is surrounded by a bunch of mouse traps. I didn't see anything else. Was there something else that I missed?
I just saw the mouse traps now.
Okay. Farron, it's her dance teacher, which I was like, that's an odd choice. Dance teachers are just mean. She bullied you to be perfect. Time to make her imperfect, and has the tattoo gun, which I was like, interesting. And then Imogen's is her mother, her dug up body of her mother. And I was like, dang. And says, think your mom wasn't a bully. Look at her mouth and she'll finally tell you the truth. And when they all leave, none of the girls did anything that A asked them to do. Because I was really curious if they were going to take it out on them, especially Tabitha and Chip.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all the girls meet up in the hallway and none of them did what they were asked to do.
And they get a text that's like, well done. You showed mercy. Maybe there's hope. Gather in the auditorium. The trial begins now. I just love all these like together, separate. This episode was like, yes. So they walk in, they see all the moms tied to a chair, surrounded by our Michael's candles. And A is there.
And there are enough chairs for the girls, so everybody's sitting in a big circle, and the girls start running towards their moms. And the moms are like, don't get any closer.
And out comes Leatherface A, and bum, bum, bum.
The principal.
And this is why. Because it didn't make sense to me that the principal was not going to allow Tabitha to make her movie. And I'm like, okay.
I know. I'm curious as to why.
And honestly, he was a presence in every episode. Everyone was a suspect except for him. Even though he was here in every episode.
Exactly.
Why? Why would it have been him? But here, let's dive into it, girls.
First of all, can I just say that out of all the names that A could have stood for, why is this what Archie Kins is going to be doing with his life from now on when Riverdale ends?
Listen, this show is also written by Roberto. I can't remember his whole name. So he's got to throw in his little Easter eggs and his callbacks. So yes, the A stands for Archie.
I get it, but it could have been like Arthur, Anthony.
Right. I just don't think that Angela and Archie go together as names, even if they're twins. Like,
either.
I would prefer even Angelo and Angela.
I think Angela and Arthur, I think is cute. Angela and Andrew.
Anthony?
I think Angela and Anthony. Thank you. Anyway.
I know. I was like, really? I was rather let down by his name being Archie. I'm just going to say that.
Archie Waters.
I just see him with like his raggedy face spinning in a field with flowers.
Yeah.
Probably super deformed because he has a face only a mother can love.
When he said that, I was like,
get into the backstory, guys.
Sorry. So we learn that the principal is Angela and Archie's dad.
And he dated Rose Waters when they were in high school together. He got her pregnant with twins. His parents had money and her family didn't. So his parents paid her to go away. He stays in Millwood. He becomes a teacher. Then he becomes the vice principal. Then he becomes the principal. While he's vice principal, Rose comes back to Millwood and is like, I want to enroll Angela in school, but only Angela because Archie has a face that only a mother could love.
So messed up. And
whatever
we don't ever get to see his face.
No.
I honestly, that part really bothered me. I would have preferred that Archie was just there at school and in the background, because I really think it's stigmatizing people with disabilities. Like, this is really rude.
I mean, it was the 90s. So,
Yeah, it was the 90s, but we don't need to further that plot line by making it, in today's thing and being like, oh, he's deformed and
Yeah.
disabled and mentally, I don't know. He could have been willing, attractive accomplice who just wore a mask to obscure his identity.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
But also,
Okay, go ahead.
we have to set the stage of him not having been at school with her and all of that. So
We just talked about it.
I know, but
Oh.
I'm just saying that's why I'm not against
It was
it.
it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. The story could have stayed exactly the same and he could have been at school with her too.
Yeah,
And honestly, it would have given him more motivation because he would have seen exactly how his sister was treated. So
100%. Very, very true.
Yeah, but I also feel like because nobody knows him and all he's seen is his mom abuse Angela while he's locked up in this cage with crayons and seen her crying. Maybe she's the only person who ever came and talked to him. They took his best friend out his life.
that's a lot of maybes, though. We never see any of that on screen. And I'm just saying, by what we're giving on screen, all they did was just continue to stigmatize ugly people and people who may not be that smart. And that's a fucked up thing to do.
That's true.
I hear you.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear. I'm just saying, like,
It almost would have been more interesting to have the principal be the brother. Do you know what I mean? But he changed his name.
oh yeah.
Right.
And then,
Anyway.
anyway, that's a
My
whole other
head
thing.
also went to, how is this man old enough to be her daddy?
What do you mean? That man is obviously like in his mid to late
Tracks,
40s.
he was old.
No, because he's
You have to think,
They got pregnant at
Angela
like
Warren's
16.
father.
okay. Okay, the math is mathing.
The
I
math
guess.
is-
Math. I'm not even good at math, but that math was mathing.
I don't know. I just imagine, I thought of the parents and how old the parents looked, and I looked at that man and I'm like, he could be in the same range as the parents ish, but shouldn't he
You're
be
not gonna
older?
play in my face and tell me that he looks the same age as, what is her name who plays Sydney? She is Black
Sharon
royalty.
Leal.
Yes,
No.
thank you.
Or
That old
Carly
man is
Pope.
not the same age as Sharon Leal. Don't play
No.
in my face with that.
No.
But maybe Mouse's mom.
Leah Salonga, you leave that woman alone. She is an icon.
Oh,
Carly Pope. That man is not the same age as Carly Pope.
No. So let's get back over here. Kink. He says that Angela did not kill herself because of the assault, but because of something the moms did. And Imogen then reveals that she actually did look in her mom's mouth and finds the missing diary pages that constantly said something about erase her. And she's like, what in the world does that mean? And then Sydney tells us the story. Right? With Sydney? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Sydney. So we
About-
flash back
Mm-hmm.
to 1999 again.
1999.
and we see the ultimate Mean Girl montage of
It's
just
the
how
worst. It is
absolutely fucked up all their moms were and how manipulative they were. And
It gets worse when you really, like, I really got down about it. It gets worse when you think about Elodie, because Elodie and Angela were in this secret relationship. And for
Mhm.
Elodie to go as far as she did with everybody else, like, y'all. So
Yeah.
the moms all know about the assault. And Davy takes it personally. And Davy has to choose her boyfriend, Tommy, or her quote unquote friend, Angela, who is not her friend. It's the girl that she's picking on.
Mhm.
And so she meets up with all the girls in the bathroom and she's like, I don't believe her. She's doing it for attention.
Just like
and
always.
so we're going to do the exact opposite of what she wants. We're not going to give her any attention at all. We're going to act like she doesn't exist. We're going to erase her. And
they get
convince the whole school
Whole school. That's how much power these girls had. They got the whole school to ignore her. A giant silent game. And then to make it worse, Davy goes to her and does a fake apology, invites her to the rave. So now that she's been assaulted, her mother and her have this huge fight. She shows up in visible distress, which they admit they saw. The entire party still ignored her.
Yeah. And, especially because she played the game of inviting her in the first place and putting her out like that. I don't even know what happened to her for her to show up and be that distressed. But she came thinking
it was the fight with her and her mom, and she was just crying and showed up to the party.
Think about how bad makeup was in the 90s. If you sweat too much, that shit would run down your face. So she started crying.
You cry a little bit. It's here.
Oh. But you look like the matchmaker from Mulan.
And she went there to seek help from friends and comfort, someone.
And she thought she had genuinely been invited to that party. She thought it was over. So she shows up and she's distressed, but she's like, you know what? I'm distressed, but I'll talk to my friends and then we'll have a good night. Because she thought she had genuinely been invited to that party, and then they're playing the fucking erase her game all over again.
And she's just in this place of, my mother doesn't love me. I've been she was assaulted. She has no friends. She just hit rock bottom of depression and loneliness. And is like, I think I'm like writing my own story here, but she just was like, okay, well, if they don't see me, let them see me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
That's 100%. And that's true. None of them forgot that, watching her plummet to her death.
Mm-mm.
And they all, we get to the conclusion that Davy did truly unalive herself because she was so haunted by the guilt of what she had done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Imogen then goes through this whole thing about how, her mother, she understands who her mother was in high school, but that moment in time changed her forever. And she became a different person. She became a kind person, a gentle person, someone who sought to help those who could not help themselves. But it didn't matter. And now the principal
every popular pretty girl is now a nurse taking care of people.
I don't even want to. I don't want to make that comparison. I do not want to make that comparison. Goodbye.
We did it previously, so it's already out there. And now
Imogen's actually a good person.
Facts. The principal doesn't care and says that Imogen has to pay for the sins of her mother, since he says Davy took the cowardly way out. And she's like, but what about my baby? My baby's innocent. And he's like, well, that just means I'll give you a head start. So
get running. Go run. Which, like, she's pregnant. And he's talking about go run. Okay.
Yeah. And then she just I think it was such an odd choice to have him go for her first. Like, you've got all of the moms there. Why not just deal with her later? The police are going to think she's crazy. No one's going to help her. And then they could just get her, at another time.
And then we know A can move fast. But again, A is doing the stock walk thing. And
I'm telling you, A has sciatica and it flares up every now and then. And he can't be running. He's just got to walk it out.
Oh my God.
I'm just like, A is two different people. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
You can't keep moving different ways. Anyway.
So
Imogen runs to the one place that her mind recalls.
Her mom reminds her to play an ultimate game of hide and seek.
And you can always go home.
And so she and A have this, I think it was a pretty good fight scene.
That was a damn good fight.
I was like, girl, you pregnant, like a bajillion months pregnant, fighting A for your life. She stabs him once, she keeps going.
These girls are so strong because she goes and she hides in the shower, and you have that moment where in every other horror movie it would have been it, and it's over for her. And no, she stabs him right to the shower curtain.
But she just one stabs, which that was my issue. I liked it, right, but I was also like, you just gonna hit him with the one girl?
Girl, you're in a horror movie. You needed to hit him with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I mean, she gets there eventually as they're struggling in the hallway.
Okay, the head
guys, Did you notice during the fight that it came back? He finally got her ankle. He finally got it. He's been going for that ankle since episode 3, and he got it.
No. Oh, you're right though. You ain't wrong. So Imogen got him back at the school. Kelly comes running in with Greg. Poor Greg gets shot. All he's trying to do is be helpful at this moment in time. You know, and with his
Greg was useless.
Faran.
She goes to get Greg for help because she needs backup, and he was useless because the first and only thing he does is get shot.
And then Tabitha.
To your point, they were not helpful boyfriends in this series.
Look,
the boyfriends were really useless.
We're just showing that women are strong.
Yeah,
we don't need no man. Okay.
Yeah, Tabitha she had a Chekhov's gun moment because the camera it panned down on that name plaque thing for seemingly no reason.
Yeah.
And then later in the episode, she pulls that shit out of her jacket and knocks the principal out.
It's so good. It's so good. And then everyone runs to the house, finds Imogen alive, and A, presumably dead, which we learn when they get to the hospital, Imogen's still having nightmares, thinking that A has stolen Archiekins has stolen her baby. That's what he's Archiekins forever. Like, you cannot name him. I'm
Stop this.
Sorry, I can't. The baby's perfectly fine. But the girls tell her that A survived and is in the hospital. Sheriff Beasley survived, is in the hospital, and Chip and the principal have been arrested and are in jail. So
we missed one little line that I did love when somebody says, like, "Oh, the sheriff will get you," and he went full on Scooby. The principal goes full on Scooby Doo villain because he's like, "Who do you think I'm gonna pin it on?"
Oh, you're right.
Sheriff Beasley. Okay. But then I
also love how the girls asked him, they're like, "Why are you punishing us women? This man started all of it. Go after this man. Stop this." Anyway,
every offender lives. We get this stupid Christmas heart-to-heart mom over the grave montage.
Okay, no, the over the grave thing, you guys know how black I am. I'm so black that on the fake TV show with what was clearly a fake baby, I looked at her at the grave and I was like, why she got that baby outside in the cold like that? That baby ain't got no coat on.
That baby ain't got no coat on. That baby does not belong outside in the dead of winter, girl. Dead of winter.
I loved the big family Christmas scene. It was a good way to put a cap on it. Everybody, and everybody got their, I don't want to call it a happy ending, but they got what they deserved. Noah's mom is going to check into rehab. And the girls' mom, all the girls' moms say, don't stay with Sean. Noah will stay with one of us, which I loved.
Yeah.
Mouse's moms are going to go to couples therapy. Faran's mom is moving back to Millwood.
Yeah.
Imogen and Tabby are good. They go around and talk about their favorite Christmas movies. They needed to have that little family moment because it really showed that all the girls were together and bonded, that all the moms had put their shit down and had bonded too, which was my number one complaint from episode 1. How are these women not still friends?
Yeah, because of that. Now I understand, because after that, we are disbanding the plastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The crew was over.
We closed the whole Christmas scene out with Tabby and Imogen.
Well, no, we also learned that Chip is out on bail because his parents paid for him to get out of jail.
Back home, but the girls are pressing charges.
Which is great.
Corey's going to help them.
Which I appreciate. And then I think I know exactly what you're going to say, Keiki, so go for it.
I was going to say, and then we tie it all up by Imogen not keeping this baby.
She's going to give it up for adoption.
Giving it up for adoption to Arya and Ezra from the original Pretty Little Liars.
Which on the one hand, we love a good callback. On the other hand, I cannot support their relationship.
No. I really would have been happier if anybody else got the baby. But okay.
I would have even been like, can you give it to someone in Riverdale? Can we give it to someone?
The parents are named Archie and Veronica. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
But not, I literally, in my notes, I wrote, ew. All the
Can you
W's.
isolate that clip and put it on Instagram, please?
Ew. Yeah. When this airs, I will absolutely do
all
that.
the couples.
Of all couples.
People.
The most controversial, the most groomy gross that this show seems to be fixing with the Wes issue.
Right.
But then you're going to be like, no, they actually ended up together. Now they're going to get Imogen's freaking baby. I don't like it.
Anyway,
Every
horror movie has to set up the sequel. The very, very, very end of the episode, we go back to the hospital. Beasley has been stabbed again.
He did.
blooded like a fish girl.
They go to Chip's house. Chip opens the door because somebody rings the doorbell, and A finally cuts him in half.
Good night. Well, what I actually really enjoyed this finale, and I think it's great that they wrapped up a lot of the things. They gave me all the answers I wanted, and it rounded it out that if this series does not get a season 2, I'm fine with it and the way this ends.
Yes, I actually don't want a season 2, and this is very rare for me. But I think that they ended everything the way that it should end. There's no reason for this to continue. And I think like I said, I didn't watch the original Pretty Little Liars, but from what I've heard, it got to a point where it was like, well, the story's done, but they kept finding out ways to drag it and beat it like a dead horse. And I think which is, I mean, a problem that I have with some horror movies or horror series where it's like, how many times can the same girl escape death? Now, if they want to do it like an anthology show and we get a new set of girls and a new A, I would love that. But if it's the same girl, if they're going to do a season 2 with the same girls, I'll be pissed.
I can see that.
I agree with you. I don't need another season, but if they do it, I'm going to still watch it.
I'm going to watch it. I'm just mad about it.
I just don't really think you can improve upon this.
No.
Yeah. Well, now, Keiki, I know you sent us the text saying that you really didn't like the finale. So why didn't you like this finale?
Because it all rushed to a close and it was just a little bit too easy to kill the killers. I'm sorry. And yes, I know we did get that little, well, A/Archie is still alive at the end, but I really just wanted more story of it. I wanted a reveal. I just wanted it not to be so easy.
I think it's so interesting that you find it easy.
Where's Tyler's body?
Yeah, I didn't think it was easy.
Where's
I know. I think it's fascinating that you found it so easy. I disagree. I don't think it was easy. I don't think it was an easy kill. I don't think it was an easy wrap up.
Where's Tyler's body? Why we killed Tyler? Why'd we kill Karen?
We killed Tyler and Karen because they were bullies. That was A's whole MO, to get rid of the bullies.
I know, but then then at the end, Archie had Tabby and Imogen like straight up in front of them at the Orpheum.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides, oh, I'm gonna go after Chip.
Yeah.
And it made it seem like
Chip was a real bad guy.
It made it seem like the girls weren't his target. And then at the end, we have Imogen, 9 months pregnant, taking off running to her home with Archie going behind her. And I'm like, well, if he wanted to kill her, he's had the opportunity. Now,
no, because the principal wanted his big dramatic reveal. He wanted to monologue.
Yeah.
And that's why A couldn't kill Imogen at the Orpheum. And it wasn't about Tabitha at all. It was about Sydney. So that's why he walked away from Sydney.
Right. Like Tabitha was never his target. It was always Imogen for the sins of the mother. But none of the other girls were the target.
What about the Orpheum? If he wasn't trying to snatch the girls.
We all know A is everywhere and A is always listening.
Why was A under the bleachers? Because his dad was the principal and he can go where he wanted to in the school. But also, he wasn't going to do nothing under the bleachers.
It just felt very much like, if you guys watch the Powerpuff Girls, how Mojo Jojo explains his whole plan.
Yes,
well, yeah, that's what it was.
That's always
exactly what happened.
It's like The Incredibles. He starts monologuing.
That's like, don't you watch Riverdale? That's what they do there too.
They gotta have their Scooby-Doo moment.
Well, that's fine. Whatever. I wish more men got punished, even if they did. I wish I got an A reveal. An
A face reveal, right?
face reveal.
Yeah, I do too. That's my biggest letdown, is that we never got to see what A looked like under the mask.
Yeah.
Your mother could love it.
I just imagine it looks like Sloth from the Goonies, right? Like,
yeah.
I didn't imagine anything because it was so weak to me. It was a very weak, fucked up plot point. But anyway.
I know you did not like it. I understand. I think this is one of the first shows I feel like everything got wrapped up in a pretty little bow. And I think that's also what feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate it. Like, that's...
I definitely appreciate it, because I hate when shows just leave you hanging and you're like, well, what about this guy? And what about that thing? And, you know, it's a lot more common for the shows to end on a plot hole.
And they didn't. It was very much ended like the ending of a horror movie that might have a sequel. And I liked that. So
this show ended a lot cleaner than I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Absolutely. It sure did.
That whole subplot with the cult and the honey.
That had nothing to do with anything. Just a random storyline. No, absolutely. It absolutely did. Even like Panic, it had a better like flow than Panic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked it. We'll see if we get season 2. I enjoyed this season. I'm into it.
I will say, out of all the shows that we've done after shows for, this and Cruel Summer have been my favorite, hands down.
Oh, Cruel Summer. Can't wait for season 2. That's coming.
Oh, Cruel Summer was so good. Anyway,
we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, I know a lot of you have found us because of Pretty Little Liars. Thank you for going on this really long journey with us. We appreciate you. If there's other shows that you want to see us talk about, let us know. And if we're able to make it happen, we absolutely will, because this is what we do and we love it. So, ladies, anything else you want to say about Pretty Little Liars Original Sin season 1?
Got your ankle.
And if it wasn't for those pesky kids.
I told y'all it was Chip. I was gonna say it. That's all I got. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment as you have been, ring the bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.